Pleasant good morning, one and all. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Monday's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption Incompetence. Today is Monday, the 12th day of May in the year 2025. Welcome, welcome, one and all. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Hope you're looking forward to a productive week. So welcome to the Monday's edition. Welcome. Share the live, share the live. Let them know that we are on. Even though I noted that the schoolyard was jam-packed this morning. Schoolyard was jam-packed, but you still others will still want to come and to hear what's going on. Credible information. Be able to go through and analyze many of the statements that have been made. We're going to do that again this morning. So welcome today, Monday, the 12th day of May, 2025. It's good to be in the land of the living. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks to being in the land of the living. Many would not have been this fortunate. So we have to always give praise and thanks. Every morning or whenever we wake up to see a new day, give praise, give thanks. Because without the will of the Almighty, we're not going to be able to make it. Enough of them don't believe. They don't believe. But those of us who are believers, whether it's in Jesus, whether it's in Allah, whatever religion, we know that there's a superior being, and we must give praise and thanks for being allowed to be in the land of the living. So share the live, and let them know you're on. And while you're at it, give us a thumbs up. Show your appreciation. Show your appreciation for the work that we do. You are the ones who are saying that we are doing fantastic work. So you must show your appreciation. You must show your appreciation by giving it thumbs up. You must show your appreciation in some tangible form. Right? So, yeah, my colleague, Mr. Conway, is already in the studio waiting for the opportunity to share his knowledge and experience with you. And he's going to come in at the appropriate time. So, we scheduled the program 7 o'clock this morning. And immediately, as we used to say as drill instructors, immediately people came into the schoolyard. And I love it. You can see people are waiting. They're anxious to get involved. They're anxious for the information, and therefore we see it as our duty to come to do the work and to bring you the information. And here, let me tell you, it's a lot of work, It's a lot of work. So when we think, you got to go and read, you got to go and do your research, you got to do all manner of things. So when we come, we can bring you credible information. Read the law, hear what the law says, look at some of the cases, see what's going on. So we can come and we can enlighten you. And we will do so again today, as we have done all the days that we're here. No doubt you will know by now, it continues to be the major topic in Guyana. That's the death of Adriana Young. She died on the 23rd of last month at the double day. Well, she went missing on the 23rd. We don't know exactly when she died. So we're going to discuss some of the developments in that matter. And we have other stuff to discuss as well. So share the live, give us a thumbs up. And we are going to get with it in a short while. You know the format. And, again, I tell you, the format is that we will do the roll call. After the roll call, we'll make the announcements, and then we're going to go into it. And I told you one of the reasons for the roll call, one of the reasons we do it this way is because of our background in teaching. You don't just jump into a class and go straight into the subject. Maybe they do that in primary school and some places. But if you are trained, I know when I was at the South College in the UK, they had volumes of different games and all of those things that you can engage the classroom with before you get into the main subject. You have to relax them. You have to do all kind of things you do to get them. So our means of relaxing and allowing people to come in is a roll call, and we do that. So we'll do that. And 7 o'clock this morning, the program was scheduled on the dot. The first man listed. I have to be careful with my language. It's Wayne from the UK. But several others came in at that same time, including Evelyn, Peter, Derek, John, Felicia, Puran from the Essequibo Coast. They all came at 7. And then shortly after, we had Barbara, Eze, Lennox, Claire, Aubrey from Canada, David, Dorette, Moses, Sean from upstate New York, Kenneth from Maryland, Maureen, Brennan from Brooklyn, Tessa from Florida, Orlando to be exact, Then we add Puran from the Essequibo Coast. I said Vibert, and this is Vibert Lawson, 9066. Ricky Smith, Jack came in. Carlton, my squad mate, 9430. Pastor Smith, 9339. He came. They all came at 71. Courtney, Marlon. Then you have Clarence, Rhonda, Anthony Bradshaw, Peters Hall on the East Bank of Demerara. Brian, Brooklyn. Sandra, Maureen, Selwyn. Then it was Glendis, Winston from California, Wayne, Siobhan, Mary. Then it was who next? Magnell, the Conor Rookman came in next. Queenie is here with us. Then Cecile Lynette from the UK. 8218, Como is here with us. Denise, Pido 8152. Morton, Uncle Paul is here. Ivor, Bonita, Earl, Leon, Maury, William is here. Then it was another Leon, Dexter, Ronald, Ulrich from West Demerara, 8385. 8385 used to be Fu. Then he became Atkinson. Brenda. Then we add Carl. Then it is Vashti, Valerie, Compton, Marcus. The angel is with us as he usually is. Isel, good things, good things. Then we have George, Bernadette, Paulette, Sydney, Carol, Princess Earl, 6123, Lamar Springs in the house. Elton, Abdul is here. Clifton, all the way from Paris. Raul, Stefan, Terence, all the way from Canada. Then it was Richard, Kerry from Maryland. Denise, the secretary, is here. Emerson, Vibert, and then we add Desiree from Georgia, Lester, Jean, Diane, Francis Keep from Melanie Namashana, Vibert from the East Bank. Then it was Roxanne, Says Narayan is here with us, Ursula. Can't recall well. You think, yes, I might have a recollection, or still might have been before. Patrick. Then it was Marcus. Then after that, we have Ivelaw, Russ, Levi, Warren, Malcolm, Anthony. The true Guyanese is here with us. Kevin, Siobhan, Donald, Hazel, Carville. The man from Mbai Madai is here. Janella, Nicola, Junior, Kay, Neville, Devian, Lucius, Ian is here with us. Grace is here. Jean is from New Amsterdam. Marcia, Heather is here with us. Then Danny, Arul, Enric, Barlet. Look what number Barlet come in this thing. Barlet come in at 8:12. Normally Barlet come down from the hills early in the morning and then the class early in the schoolyard. Welcome, Bo, my brother. Welcome. Albert, Lincoln, then it was Sheena, Rayburn is here. Lorraine, Isabella, Dennis, good to see you in class again. Winslow, and Carlisle, Joy, Patricia, and Patricia is from Philadelphia. Then we have Carlisle, says that was 8046. Carlisle 80, those 80 police, I know many of them. Then we have the K, Yonet, Troy, Umi is here. Clive from the UK, 12789. Mandela, Smitty is here, 7464. Oren also from the UK. Patrick is also from the UK, 12128. J.K. from Maryland. Father Masha. David Lindo. Oren, again from the UK. We have lots of attendance from the UK. Oren is here from the UK. Marva, Colin, 8941. Carl from Arizona. Monica, Lyndon. Then it was Merville, Winston, Claudette, Floyd, and Floyd is he asked permission to enter. Fergus is here. George, 8727. Abera. Then it's Delan, Chiffon, Shibon, I think it's pronounced. I don't know. Patricia is here. Allison, Pamela from the West Dem. Ian from Georgia. Mali, Terrence. Then it was Rhonda. Then I'm still in the house. Terrence DK from California. Charles, Allison, Cheryl from New Jersey. Trevor, Lyndon, Vanessa, Sion, Arthur. Sean is here with us. Doreen from Canada, W349. John from Tennessee. Sharon, Clay, Dion, Claudius. Then it was Lyndon. Then we have Dre, Marlin. Then after Marlin, Michael Brower from the Virgin Islands, 14126. Dion, Anthony, Courtney, Bray. Then it was Alistair, Gavin is here. Rosalind, Devian came back. Marlon, Melville from Brooklyn, Cranston is here. Allison, Annette, John is here with us. Michael, then it was another Sion, Lynn, Paulette, R. Crawford, Orville, Jimmy Blair, Jimmy's here with his Varna. Chilo is with us. Evita, can't recall seeing Evita before. The original black man is here. Raul Suklal is here with us. Lennox James, Sandrine Beard. Then it was Arel, Paulette. And then the last person in the schoolyard was Yeson. My cousin, he's from Trinidad. Then when the doors were open, he has regained. Edward regained the #1 position in that from Facebook. Abu is here with us. Carlton Popo, Trifosa, Raquel, Cecile, and the list goes on and on and on. The list goes on. Yeah, welcome one and all. Continue to share the live. Again, I'm disappointed with the thumbs up. Almost 800 we have already on the live. Over 50 thumbs up. 50 thumbs up. I don't know what I have to do to get you to come and show your appreciation. But that's what we have. Roll call. Now let me go to the announcements. I want to keep on reminding you all the announcement that this is an election year. You're going to get all sort of gaslighting, all sort of false information from all over. Be discerning. Come to Speaking Out, and we are going to dissect these things. We are going to read between the lines and bring it to you. You know that is what we have been doing. Now for the start announcements, we start with the announcements of death first. I did tell you, I reported to you sometime of the death of retired Inspector Desmond Goodman, right? His number was 9946. I think in the early years, he used to be at the TSU, then he was at immigration, he'd been in the interior and all of that. Well, he is going to be buried on Wednesday. According to the information here, funeral service Wednesday the 14th, viewing at the Jerrick's Funeral Home on the East Coast from 12 to 1 p.m. Further viewing and tributes at the Friendship Methodist Church from 1:30 to 3 o'clock, and the service follows thereafter. Right? So he's for Desmond Goodman, retired Inspector of Police. Then we did tell you too of the death of Milton Paidana. He had a service last Monday in Brooklyn, and then the final service will be today, this afternoon, at this the church at the corner of East and Church Street there. Assemblies of God, Eastern Church in Georgetown, viewing from 1 to 2 p.m. and service from 2 p.m. So that is Pai. Pai will have his final service this afternoon. Then we learned of the death of retired woman senior superintendent Waveney Allen. No further information is available at this stage. We'll bring it to you when we get it. We told you too of the death of retired Lieutenant Colonel Brenda Aaron. So the information in respect to that now is that she will be buried on Saturday. At least the service will be on Saturday, May the 17th, at Gorino Funeral Home, 922 Flatlands Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. And the viewing will be from 4 p.m. and the service from 4 to 7. Brewing from 4, and then there's a funeral service after that. That is in Brooklyn. And then we learned over the weekend of the death of Amna Ali, who used to be General Secretary at one time of the PNC. I think in recent time they had a falling out, and she may have retired. She died on Saturday, and tonight there's a night of reflection at her residence, 78 Brigham. Viewing tomorrow from 11 to 12:30 at her residence, and then further viewing at the Central Islamic Organization, Guyana, that is on Wolford Avenue, from 1 p.m. to 1:25, followed by Janaza, the Janaza, which is the Muslim funeral prayer, And at 1:30, a procession will leave from CIOG to, they will leave at 1:40 for burial at Rusignol, West Coast, Berbice. So it is Amna Ali, a stalwart and the PMC, former member of parliament. She, on her side, she was ailing for, well, she wasn't enjoying the best of health for some time, but then she passed on Saturday. There was also other confusion on social media. She passed, she did not pass, and then they said she passed. Then eventually they confirmed that she passed on Saturday. So I want to take this opportunity to express condolences to all the relatives, friends of those persons who have passed, and wish that the good Lord will give you the strength to come through this difficult time. It's always difficult when some loved one passes, especially some people who would pass at fairly young age and pass suddenly. Now for the happier announcements. Let me tell you, we have some birthday greetings. Where is it? I made some note at some birthday greetings, but I know this technology thing sometimes you make the note and you can't find exactly where it is. Let me try to find it for you to tell you who are the ones celebrating. Because we don't want to get off, Yes, here it is. We don't have any that we know of today. That is today, the 12th of May. But we had some recent birthdays. Attorney at law Don Cush celebrated recently. So too did Colin April. Colin April celebrated recently. And we have an advanced birthday to tell you about. I think it's tomorrow. Retired Assistant Commissioner George Vivehouse is celebrating his natal day soon. I think it's tomorrow, right? So to those who are celebrating today, whether we announce it or not, those who celebrated recently and those who are celebrating in the near future, all the best. All the best. It's always good to go that journey around the sun. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to move on. See, welcome. I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. I did, as I had promised, control the kitchen, and you said you would have done likewise. So report to the students. Go ahead, my brother.
No, I said I would have tried my hand. And you said, no, I had breakfast in bed, and then I cook cook up. So when they went to church and they came back, they had cook up to eat. I didn't go to church. I stay home and do the cooking, and had a nice pigeon peas cook up. So it was good when we in the family. Happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. I know I have an 11-year-old grandson, just like that little girl that they killed, 11 years old. And he into swimming. Normally, the mother would take him to swimming on some Saturday afternoons, And she called me and said she got some runnings to do, and I must go and pick him up. And I went there, swimming, talked to the coach. The coach said that he get the ability to be a national champion. I saw him in the pool there. And then somebody came to me, one of the students was there, Paul. And the student said, you're CC. I listen to you on Paul on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays also. And you almost keep it up. And you know who's it, Paul? It is a female who approached me, like it's like only female now will approach me and declare themselves there. So and I want to wish those persons happy birthday and condolences to the relatives and family of the deceased.
Yeah, we know that only the women approaching you. You're attracted. The women, you're attracted to the women. So perhaps it's a good thing. And let me take this opportunity to CC to all the mothers all the ladies. God damn it, somebody talk about Mothers Day. It's not only if person is a biological mother, but mothers and people who took care or are taking care of children. So yesterday was Mother's Day. Oh, I had a wonderful afternoon. I got up early. I started since Saturday. Season the meat and so on, and made preparation. Went to the supermarket, got the stuff, and made preparation yesterday morning. All you put the meats in the oven, and then I did my famous. I have a famous vegetable fried rice that I would normally do. I did it, and then we spent the afternoon family gathering with my wife and our mother, who is 90 years old, and we had a nice time, And it occurred to me, We get one of them who does troll us, who does write a lot of things in the media, who it was described as the product of a traumatized sperm. That is one who is said to have kicked his mother down a flight of stairs. Imagine that. That is what the people have said, that this product of a traumatized sperm kicked his mother down the stairs. So I don't know if the mother is still alive. I don't know if he can talk about Mother's Day or if she can really enjoy a good and proper Mother's Day. But them are the people you have that's jump on social media, they then the press, and they write all sorts of things. But we got to investigate them. And we're going to tell you about their background because they're trying to investigate us. They can't find nothing yet. I say yet because next year they're going to come with some manufactured nonsense, right? They're going to come with some manufactured nonsense. But imagine a man is accused of kicking his mother down a flight of stairs, and he has the temerity to be on social media and writing all sorts of nonsense. You know, they can do that because they believe that people would have forgotten. But some might, but then we have to remind you of who or what they are. Yeah, that is what goes on. Now, Mother's Day greetings. As I've said, hope all the mothers enjoyed the day. We're looking forward next month is Father's Day. And hope, according to Chris Rock, they only give you a big piece of chicken leg. We don't want alone. That's how you pamper your mothers, you must pamper your fathers too. Because without the fathers, you would not have had mothers. You know, you have to start with this light-hearted thing and so on. Now today, in case you don't know, there's the opening of the what they call the Association of Caribbean Commissioners of Police Conference. I learned of it, I think, yesterday. The Association of Caribbean Commissioners of Police, they have a conference opening today. I think it's at Aden Hotel at Rob on Ornock Street. It was there was a live thing there from Radio Ivlery. I saw part, the squatter speaking, followed by Shoot and Scoot. He spoke as well. And that is what going on. But we have some observations there. Let me see how they will go because the squatter said 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. I don't know. He said so in his opening remarks. In his opening remarks, the extended squatter or the confirmed squatter said that this thing around for 3 days. Then he said 4 days. Then he said 5 days. The man got a problem with numbers, you know. So we are sure if it's 3 days, 4 days, or 5 days. This thing is being run. But it's at the Aden Hotel. There's a new hotel that was built and opened not so long ago, within the last year, at Rob and Ornock Street in Georgetown. I think it's border, that area, I think it's border, right? And then we have this morning, you would have noted, I saw a live broadcast where it is said that the Odessa Young Street in front of the U.S. Embassy and the surrounding areas are blocked off because the people, some protests planned in front of the U.S. Embassy. Some protests is planned in front of the U.S. Embassy. So they block off the whole road from by the Court of Appeal on the western side. I don't know how far the block extends on the east, Young Street. And then in Barrack Street and Duke Street, a block and police presence. And people are commenting, you know, when you look at them things, people want to know why the same type of effort weren't made first at the Doubleday where this body was found, body of Adriana Young, on the 24th of April. And then on the 28th, when they had the postmortem at the Georgetown, no cordon, no roadblock, nothing at all. But all of a sudden, well, I guess you can say they would have learned from the mistakes or the mistakes that they were made, right? So, but somebody telling me that the thing is presently at the at the Chong Convention Center. We see they're advertising for shake people and mislead people. That's the opening of the Caribbean Commissioners of Police. They're saying at the Chong Convention Center. So I guess they are showing those things out so that people don't know where the conference is, because maybe they anticipate people going to go and protest and so on. But I hope during the course of this conference, if they're going to, if the media will interview these commissioners to find out if it is true that they are emulating the Guyana police force. Remember Gail Teixeira and somebody come out and said some months ago, sometime last year, that the Guyana police force is doing so well under ICANN that other police forces in the Caribbean are emulating them. So maybe they can get them to say that. Now, then we go on for the cricket fans. You know, the IPL was suspended. The other 4-day I don't know if you could call it war, but other foreplay conflict between Pakistan and India, where drones and aircraft bombing runway and all of those things. Well, I think it is now, well, there was a ceasefire. There's a ceasefire, and the bombing and all of these things stop, and they are now thinking about when the IPL will resume, right? Well, if you read the story to follow to how this thing started, they're claiming that it was an attack by one country against the other, against terrorists. I think it is said, I read in one area that they said that India launched an attack against some terrorists in Pakistan, in the same region, Jammu and Kashmir, which is a disputed region there between India and Pakistan. Real terrorists. Not the terrorists that Nandalal and them talking about. Some people come and light fire on Black Road and pelt at the police. They describe them as terrorists. Here we talking about real terrorists, right? So yeah, that's it. So we all as cricket fans, we're waiting to see here what will happen. And I think I understand from some people too that congratulations are in order for the Guyana women's cricket team. They won the, I think this regional championship last evening, defeating Jamaica in what was said to be a very nail-biting match. So congratulations to them. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we are going to move on again. CC, I'm sure you want to share some of those welcomes and some of those announcements. Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, and the Guyana team, I watch it. It was nail biting. Me and my wife, we were watching it, and then rain came into play. I think about 3 times, But I'm happy that Guyana won. And then, like you emulating the Guyana police force, I don't think I heard anything about Sergeant Vaughan, about the killing of Sergeant Vaughan. So we need to keep that on our front burner. Anyway, and let's move on.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Let me check the update to see the days. I think I have it somewhere. Hold on. Bear with me. I'm going to keep the contact for that, CC. I owe you a drink for that, man. Sergeant Vaughan, today is 423 days. 423 days since Sergeant Alex Vaughan was shot and killed, and they told us by a colleague of his. And 423 days after, we ain't hearing anything. We're not hearing anything, not an inquest, not someone responsible. We are hearing nothing. We're not hearing nothing, right? So let me go on, CC, to the first. The first thing I want to talk about, somebody reminded us that Virat Kohli has resigned from Test cricket. He resigned from the longest format Test cricket he resigned from. But he's still going to be around in the shorter versions, the 50 and the 20. Now, I read sometime last week, big fanfare, where the police provided with 5,000 body cameras. Guyana Police Force was provided with 5,000 body cameras. And body cameras are a good thing. Good thing, because it leads to some level of transparency. And I know from the studies, many police forces in the past have resisted the use of body cameras. But then they have come to realize that if you are a professional policeman, a body camera can be your savior, because he's going to be there to record all that transpires, right? So when you come and make false allegations against you, the body camera ought to be there to be your savior. Yeah, to be a savior. But I know in many forces, they resist the use of it. But let me say this. Body camera cannot be the panacea given what's going on in Guyana. I think based on what they're saying, body camera can help reduce corruption. Body camera can help police to be more transparent and all of that. I say not in and of itself. And let me say this. First of all, when you introduce a technology like body camera or any other technology, a police force, a responsible, properly led police force will have what you call a SOP, a standard operational procedure, or standard operating procedure. You have to get an SOP, a detailed SOP. Now, once you sit down and you put together a SOP, you have to make sure that all of the ranks, everybody, knows the SOP. And what should the SOP include? You have the SOP, when and by whom these cameras should be worn. Right? All right. Camera should be worn by all. When it should be activated. Do you activate it immediately? You pick it up and you go on duty. You activate it so it records everything. When is it activated? Right? All right. Let's assume you say that it must be activated immediately you go on duty. So it requires then, if you're going to be on 8-hour duty or anything like that, you have to guarantee that the battery is going to last for that period of time. So there's a charging arrangement. Where's that charging? The battery and all of that, right? You have to write, the SOP have to include that. How it should be charged. By whom? Who is responsible for the charging of the body cameras? All right, so you get that out of the way. The people go on duty, they come back. The camera would have stored images. Because the camera, it's recording images, right? How are the images stored? Who is responsible for storing the images? How are the images retrieved? Because I suspect people are going to go on duty with them on the camera for all 8 hours and nothing happens. So basically, you're going to get recordings on this camera that really useless, or appear, at least at that time, it might appear to be useless. How do you store that? Where do you store that? Who is responsible for the storage? And let's say something happens. Who is responsible for the retrieval of the information? You have to have a proper SOP. So you come, government give you 5,000 body camera. You get body camera, you gone out there. What happens? There's no doubt, there's absolutely no doubt that the Guyana police force has a problem with discipline. The evidence is there. Discipline. I did the research back in 2019, 2020. In discipline, where people not even being charged departmentally. And part of the reasons why they're not being charged departmentally, because I vented to say about 95% of the officers and other ranks who are on supervisory ranks, they don't know the disciplinary process. They don't know the disciplinary process. So people are not being charged. So what happens if a rank fails to activate the camera as is required by the SOP? What happens? You're going to discipline him? You're going to discipline? Is there an order? Is there a force order? Has the commissioner issued an order as to how these things should operate? You see, I say, and we're sharing this knowledge with them so they can understand, because we know they listen. You have to have an order. You have to make an order, force order, standing order, and say this is what. So that when a person fails to do that, he's charged under Section 4Y of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 17:01, for failing to comply with an order issued by the Commissioner of Police. But as it is now, what are you going to charge him for if he decides he ain't turning it on? You have to think these things through. But they get taken there. He know his ass from his ass. And they say 5,000 body camera. Yeah, big pop. But there's more to it than just giving them the camera. You have got to make sure it is critical that you have a proper standing operating procedure, which has to be told and taught to everyone. Now, another is the technical people come and say, well, oh, this is the way to turn it on. This is the way to turn it off. It requires more than that. It requires much more than that. Yes, Carl, free information to them, man. Free consultation. They're getting free consultation, right? So, again, body cameras are a good thing. It's a move in the right direction to have body cameras. But body cameras cannot be the panacea. We can solve all the corruption problem. For example, would the commissioner be wearing a body camera in his office, which would have shown when he took $8.5 million from Amir Ahmad? Huh? Would they have a body camera? Would the commission be required to wear a body camera? With all them teeth in what they said Brutus did, especially as it relates to the $60 million, which a statement, the rank said that this $60 million was handed over to Brutus in the presence of the commissioner, in the commissioner's office. So they would have get body camera to make sure that those things are captured. Again, I say, body cameras are a good thing, but with the level of indiscipline and with the level of corruption, chances are this is not going to have the desired effect. So I know they listen. Shoot and scoot and all them listen. So I hope they sit down and get people who can write a proper standing operating procedure as it relates to the use of body cameras. Proper procedure, step by step. Not them slapdash thing what it is do. Step by step. Step by step. You have to have a record too. That who uplift the body camera. Right? What number, what they are numbered and all that serial number. So John Jones uplifted up there, and there's a record maintained of who used what body camera at what particular time. This thing is not just easy. So, you know, I used to be in operations, deputy commissioner operations position, and I can tell you the responsibility was mine to write out all them order and so on. When they brought in breathalyzer tests, and I am the person who sat down with officers below me and wrote the thing out. So I don't know who is going to do that now, because it requires some knowledge. It requires a lot of experience and things to make sure you put together a proper standing operating procedure for the use of body cameras. 5,000 and more body cameras, right? CC, let me bring you in for you to share some of your knowledge in this thing. I mean, the thing about body cameras, you know, let me hear your views on it, my brother.
Well, let me go to the SOP first, you know. I saw a SOP in relation to children, a missing person that appear just like the body of Adriana. And that person who submitted our person, they don't know how to write SOPs. It is really, really, really poor. And during the week, I'm going to write something about it. I'm going to comment on that SOP that even the Prime Minister and all adopted. And I think they read part of it in Parliament. I'm going to write something and have my critical comment on it and give them some ideas how a SOP should be written. But here, let me give a little idea. That it's SOP, you have an introduction. You identify the process. You define objectives. You document, and this is critical, document step-by-step instructions. Include visual aids, if applicable. Consider safety and quality measures. Review and validate. Implement and train. Regular review and updates. Measure effectiveness. I'll explain that more in my letter there, but it's nice that, you know, you try to, and you're saying you're giving police body camera, that you're giving them the tools to do the work. Nothing wrong with that. But that doesn't mean to say that the police will be efficient or effective. So Robert Peel, considered the father of modern day policing, he wrote about the fundamental principles of policing. And here we say one of the principles. The test of police effectiveness is the absence of crime and disorder, not evidence of police activity in dealing with the problems. That's the test. The absence of crime or disorder, not police activities like you're giving them body camera and you're giving them all sort of thing. You got to look at the human factor. And you got to look at how the president saying what? Traceability of behavior, conduct from citizens and also police. Traceability of behavior. And that's where behavior comes into play. Behavior, that you got to look at behavior of the policemen. And that is so important, that if you don't deal with behavior, you really can't do proper policing. And they got two persons, Harold Russell and Alan Biget. In 1973, this is what they wrote, talking about behavior. So the importance of understanding behavior in the training of professional policemen is indisputable. Behavior is a major phenomenon that a police officer must deal with. Not only the behavior of criminals, but also the behavior of the general public, the behavior of his family, and his own behavior. He can no longer regard the study of behavior as the sole concern of the psychologist or psychiatrist. He must learn more about behavior and the behavior science in order to effectively and safely carry out his job. This was written in 1973 and is applicable now, that the police must deal with behavior, and behavior is a major phenomenon that they going on. When you see the clips in the social media, that police behavior, and it brings me to the point where I've been happening long now, that the police must have a behavior science unit. Yes, you give them all kind of fancy equipment, but you got to deal with the human aspect of things, the behavior, and they need to have a behavior science unit. I benefit from my dealings with the behavior science unit in the United States of America, and the police was able to get a behavior science unit that it will be able to pick up all the warnings. You must get all the warning systems. You might be able to look at trend, look at pattern, look at hot spots, look at all kind of things that give you an indication that what is likely to happen, and you're able to nip it in the bud. But giving them these cameras is good, but they have to deal with behavior, and behavior also included training in terms of anger management, in terms of conflict resolution, in terms of effectively dealing with people, in terms of self-esteem, and those kind of things that must be embedded in the ranks from the bottom right up to the top, or from top right down. That behavior is critical. Giving them those body cameras just a plaster for one sore, but there are many sores that the police get. The police is infested with sores, and you got to look at the thing totally. You got to get a total outlook of what is happening. So I'm saying that the time is long overdue for the establishment of a behavioral science unit in the Ghana police force. The University of Ghana has a behavioral science department. Perhaps they can tackle the university and get some idea, but repeating, making the point, giving them the equipment and so is all good. But unless you deal with behavior, you'll be back to square one.
Well, they even square one, they might have retrogressing on further. Now, two responses here. One of the students reminded me that Rosignal is on the west bank of Berbice. I said West Coast. I wasn't certain, I tried to find out, and somebody misled me by saying West Coast. So I thought it was West Bank, but I wasn't certain. So thanks for that. And then somebody said here that we should be involved in the process of assisting them to put together standing order. I want to remind you students that when the former commissioner, Leslie James, called myself, Mr. Conway, Mr. Whitaker, Mr. Gilbert, and Mr. Fraser to assist in that process, we started work on revising the standing order. The work came to an end because of elections, and then the election 2020, and then COVID. When they want to get me, when they came into government, there is a present government came into power in 2020, August. And the president wanted certain people promoted. And I, as chairman of the police office commission, the other members decided we were not going to promote them. They used the fact that we were assisting to revise the standing order and were paid a stipend to say that we committed fraud, was conspiracy to commit fraud, and charge all of us criminally for that. So let me understand what's going on. We were there lending our expertise and our knowledge and skills to revise all of the standing orders. We created new standing orders. And Big Nose, Nosef, tell them he was involved in the process. He got on the show and he said that we should not, as persons of the chairman of the police office commission, how can you be involved in this process? All sort of crap they talk and got us charged criminally for conspiracy to commit fraud because we were paid a stipend to help in the revision of the standing order. So I got to remind you all about these things because I suspect you get from time to time, you're going to get new students who are not aware of these facts. They're not aware. So yeah, we did try to think with the process that we revised several standing orders and we created new ones and we get charged. So that says a lot about the thinking and so on. Now let me move on. Now, a big story over the weekend. I don't know how it became big, but it was a big story over the weekend. I know what I'm talking about. Comedian Odessa Primus was refused entry into the United States. She left Guyana to travel to the United States, and on arrival at the United States, the immigration authorities, they refused her entry. We're not sure what was the reason for our refusal. And I'm going to talk some things about it. Shows how corrupt the system is. we talk about speaking out, exposing corruption, incompetence. We're going to show you how corrupt the system is, right? So what happened? She turned up, they refused her entry. The normal thing is that once you refuse entry, the custom and border people will stamp refuse in your passport. And now we understand it's a refusal of entry and you are sent back. It is not, you're not deported. That's a different thing altogether between deported and refusal of entry. When you're deported, most times because you would have committed some crime or offense in the US and you go back to Guyana, there is a process that involves the police. I'm going to explain that to you as we go along. So she was refused entry, and as is normal, once you refuse entry, they put you on a plane and they send you back. In this case, they put her, I think it was on JetBlue, and she was sent back. They stamped your passport, they sent you back. Even before she returned to Guyana, the passport page with the stamp refusal was on social media. Critic put it up on social media. Guyanese Critic put it on social media. Refuse entry, big. All right. So she returned to Guyana. Well, next, even before she returned, they said she was coming back on JetBlue flight, so to arrive at all them details I get, Now listen carefully, student, all them things. So how did Critic get the information with the evidence that she was refused entry? As I've said, the Custom and Border Patrol, people will call immigration, the US, they would have stamped it. So if you come at any port and they can stamp it, right? Refuse entry, turn your back. How did he get it? Do you think it's the Custom and Border people in the US provided that information to them? I don't think so. But what happens at the other end now? First of all, the flight to go back. How did all of these people know that she would have been on this flight? Right? Now they have what they call, listen carefully, they have what is called the Advanced Passenger Information System, APIS. Advanced Passenger Information System, APIS. So once you board, if in some cases, when you book a ticket and so on in the airline, if it is properly monitored, if you know your book ticket, are you supposed to travel at a particular time? So in our case, I am sure she would have showed up in the Advanced Passenger Information System that she's returning to Guyana via JetBlue flight, so. So somebody then would have passed it on to the media because this is not something that the general public has access to. Let me understand. This Advanced Passenger Information System that I'm speaking of is not something that the public has access to. The people who have access to it are the immigration people. And remember, in Guyana, immigration is police. The chief immigration officer is the commissioner of police, and then you have a deputy chief immigration officer who is the man that does the day-to-day running of the immigration office. The person lands in Guyana. That's the person who's refused entry lands. They're aware. So sometimes they might even go and meet you at the aircraft, and they bring you, they pass you through the process. As I know, the system that I know, that when you come there now, the immigration people for the records will take a photograph of that page with the stamp to say that you have been refused entry. They take it for the record at Timeri or whatever other port of entry you might have arrived at. That is then sent from Timeri or whichever other port you arrived at. They are going to send it to the deputy chief immigration officer. So the officer in charge at the port of entry will send it to the deputy chief immigration officer, whose office is at Camp Street, the immigration passport office there. So it goes to them. The deputy chief immigration officer, and this is what I know, this is the system I know, will then send it to the chief immigration officer, who is the commissioner of police. And it should be that, and there is where it should remain. So I am saying that somewhere between the immigration authorities in the UK, in the US, and I don't believe it's them, that leaked that passport page with the stamp. I believe the thing happened in Guyana. That is my view, knowing the system as I do. Right? So between Timeri, the Deputy Chief Immigration Officer, Senior Superintendent Telford, and the Commissioner of Police, the thing suddenly find its way into the to critic, for him to publish it. And of course, when you hear somebody mention things as to whether it is legal and so on, I understand he pull them down. I understand that it was pulled down. But I'm trying to say how corrupt this thing is. So the whole, look how they're wasting money. NCN, there's a National Communication Network. Get people at Timeri for the arrival of Odessa Primus. She got big celebrity status now. She's arriving back from the US because she was refused entry. All certain media houses. So think about it. They're wasting taxpayers' money and NCN's taxpayers' money to go there. Timeri, travel to Timeri, airing it live and all other thing that she come back. And in recent times, as stated by Vice President Barjagdiu, you have had several business people and other people visa revoked. Visa revoked, revocation of visa. There was one case where a whole family turned up to travel to the US, only to discover that they revoked their visa. You had people, including May Thomas, the permanent secretary, who traveled to the US, detained for hours, questioned, had her visa revoked. So much so that when she was returning, she couldn't come back to the US. She had to go through some circuitous route. They make a big splash of that. At least they were not there to meet her on her arrival. Not there to meet her. You had a minister who was escorted and questioned. No matter what happened to the matter. Where he said he was never questioned, he was never escorted, and then the video showing up to show that I think three people walking behind me. There's escorting. There's escorting. And then they tried to swing the thing to say that the reporter said that he was detained. Never said he was detained. He was escorted. They weren't there to reach him to find out why is it, what they questioned him about, if he was questioned and all that. You had recently a businessman, right, detained and questioned. He come back, he said that he was questioned and so on. They meet at the airport to find out from him, or even at no time thereafter, did they meet him to find out what they questioned him about and all them type of thing. You had a senior police officer, Michel Caesar. His visa, well, not visa, he was detained in the US. Phone searched and all of that. Then he was released, right? They never met him to question him. I don't think they've questioned him since then. But a comedian, Odessa Primus, who was refused entry into the US, returned to Ghana, all this thing you have. Are you telling me there's not corruption? You're telling me it's not corruption? I believe, again, as I've said, somewhere in the Guyana system, this thing was leaked to so that the picture was provided. What they do that for? Maybe just to embarrass her. But if you know Odessa Primus, that can't embarrass you. Odessa Primus is a comedian. And is a reputable comedian. I mean, you get enough comedians in the government, enough of them, right? Enough of them. They are comedians. But they don't want to admit that they are comedians, right? So, right, somebody said something. Well, right, somebody I want to meet Thomas. May Thomas went back to the Ministry of Home Affairs. Then she was moved to the Ministry of Labor. And then the last we heard that she's put on administrative leave. So if she's still on administrative leave, you mean she then relaxing and getting pay. And don't forget, she was elected to the hierarchy of the People's Progressive Party at the last Congress, or whatever they call it. So that is what happened to May Thomas student. And I show you again how corrupt this system is and how they use the state media and all those things to come after people. That is what they do. Odessa Primus and commit no crime. If you are a criminal deportee, or if she was a criminal deportee, she would not have been allowed to board no vehicle and go up on her own. Because once you have committed a crime in the US and you're deported, the police, CID and immigration will meet you on the aircraft in Guyana when it lands. And then they will book you through the system and escort you to CID headquarters where records are made of you and all of that. That is if you are deported. In our case, for the time she touched down, she was allowed to go on her own steam. So she has not committed any criminal offense. So let me clarify that. And she was not deported. She was refused entry. There's a big difference. There's a big difference. So we understand what's going on, right? Let me understand. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. You might want to say something about this. PC, let me hear you on this whole Odessa Primus issue.
Before that, let me stress the point, in relation to the standing order. Some people might not know that it was the Commissioner, Leslie James, who called us at the meeting with the executive leadership team and told us that, hey, this standing order dated, you want us to review it. And it was the commissioner, we work without pay, and was the commissioner who said, you all can work free, I'm going to pay you all a stipend, which they make all the accounts and everything. Hey, the Attorney General mounting up himself that it was unethical. Even if and I will not concede, even if you say it's unethical, where is the criminal offense? It was no criminal offense. That's why they had 26 people testify. I can't say they gave evidence, they testified. And the magistrate said there no evidence, not an iota of evidence to convict any one of us. Yeah? So, but in terms of this standing order, we had written a standing order dealing with body camera. We were thinking the future. We produce a standing order dealing with body camera and other things, and we give it to the commissioner. So I hope that they have, Paul, as you say, a proper standing order. But getting back to Odessa. Odessa ain't commit no criminal offense. She ain't commit any criminal offense. And then the leak, police talking about confidentiality. It had to be the police leak it. Somewhere between Timeri and police headquarters, it leak. It leak. And then other persons who have been prevented, persons like the PS, who are cited for all sort of corruption, nothing. But what play out there is a comedy. Maybe you call it a comedy of errors. What took place there? They wanted to embarrass her, but it backfired. They made her a star. She was a star for the show. It backfired in a big way on them.
Right. Now, the topical issue, as we had said, this death of this child, Now, let me for the next hour, we're gonna talk about some things about that. They got all sorts of people writing all kind of thing, and I told you guys before, I told you students, it's good to read, but you have to analyze what is being said and by whom. Enough of them are propagandists. That's all they do. They come to gaslight people. They come to spread propaganda. They come to muddy the waters. So on the 10th of this month, 2 days ago, there's a letter that appeared, I think, Stabrook News, written by one Kit Nastimento, right? And again, a propagandist. I think he's 90-something years old. I'm not going to forgive him because of his age and to say that maybe senility is stepping in. But there are certain things that he wrote in that letter that I need to bring to your attention. I read the whole letter, perhaps the two paragraphs. One of the third paragraph says, and it's there in Stabrook News on the 10th of May 2025. The third paragraph says, in spite of all that has been written and reported, it remains unclear just how long a time elapsed from when Adriana's grandmother noticed her missing and when they started to look for her. What also remains unclear is whether they first and immediately searched for her in the swimming pool where she had been swimming. Reports indicate that they first went to the front desk looking for her, and then it is reported they looked for her at the pool and did not find her. Also, very unclear is who looked for her. Did they sound the alarm and clear the pool from other persons who must have been swimming in it? Was the pool thoroughly searched, not only looking into the pool, but by someone getting into the pool and searching every inch of the bottom of the pool? None of that seems clear, and all of that given everything that has happened thereafter, needs to be subjected to a thorough investigation. Then he goes on. This is the other paragraph I'm going to read. All the while, an increasingly distressed mother missing her child is eventually to learn some 20 hours later that she had been discovered under the water in the pool, and the nation grieves with her. Again, from what was reported, the matter was then brought to the attention of the police, and again, there is controversy as to whether the police ordered and carried out a complete and thorough search of the pool and the entire hotel premises. I ain't gonna read anymore. I ain't gonna read anything more. Kit Nascimento, former minister of government back in the day and so on. Every time they get a suddenly so-called press conference now, they bring him out of the cartoon that he there wrap up in, and he is the man who moderates the press conferences by the president. This man is saying, yeah, some things are unclear, but some things are very, very clear in this matter. For Kit Nascimento to say, right, that she was discovered under the water. This body was discovered under the water. When the body was discovered, it wasn't under the water. The body was floating in a semi-vertical position. Kit Nascimento. That is what, and then hear what the man says. This is what got me so angry. He says again, from what was reported, the matter was then brought to the attention of the police. So he is saying in this letter that it's not until this body was discovered under the water, as he claims, then it was brought to the attention of the police. My God, I have seen nothing that we have read, that I have read. Nothing that I have read suggests that this is what happened. As a matter of fact, it is clear from even the police that this matter was reported to them on the same day that she went missing. That's the 23rd of April in the afternoon. She went missing around, they went there about, I think they were precise, 1 or 2 p.m. or something like that. She went missing about an hour or so after. And immediately an alarm was raised. Immediately, Kit, an alarm was raised. And they said they went to Tushan police station and they made a report of the matter there and there. Same afternoon of Wednesday. The commander of the division and other police ranks turned up Wednesday night at the scene. And Kit Nascimento, that body was not found till about 9-something, the Thursday morning, the Thursday 24th. And Kit Nascimento saying here we say, again, let me read again, from what was reported, the matter was then brought to the attention of the police. That is after she was discovered. My God, these people real? Are these people real? That is what Kit Nascimento, that is what Kit Nascimento is saying. And I want to know if they're real. But see, they are propagandists. That is what the profession is. So they're swinging and they're gaslighting and they do all of these things. Yes, there are a lot of things remain not so clear. A lot of stuff not clear. But some of the things that this man is suggesting are unclear. Very clear. To suggest that only after the body was recovered that the police got involved flies in the face of all the evidence that we have seen, all the statements, even the police. And you're right, Terry. Isn't that inciting public mischief? What Kit Nascimento wrote there? Because I am aggravated by what he wrote. I'm offended by what he wrote, to try to gaslight and to swing the thing. The man said, let me read back that part for y'all again. Let me read back for those of you when it thing there. It says, all the while, an increasingly distressed mother missing her child is eventually to learn some 20 hours later that she had been discovered under the water in the pool, and the nation grieves with her. Again, from what was reported, the matter was then brought to the attention of the police. And again, there is controversy as to whether the police ordered or carried out a complete and thorough search of the pool and the entire premises. Kit Nascimento, to suggest that the police only reported this matter to the police, as you have said here, the matter was then. This is English language, you know. I'm in far in school, but I think I could understand and comprehend certain things. Because by time, if you are going to say that all the while an increasingly distressed mother missing her child is eventually to learn some 20 hours later that she had been discovered under the water in the pool, and the nation agrees with her. Again, from what was reported, the matter was then brought to the attention of the police. That is the thing. The matter was then. To me, what you're saying, that is my interpretation. You're saying is not until the child was found at the bottom of the water in the pool, the matter was then brought to the attention of the police. That is my interpretation. If I'm wrong, y'all tell me wrong, because as I said, I might not be the brightest bulb in the thing. I might not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but I'm much sharper than enough of them who are writing, enough of them who say them is government ministers and all this type of thing. I read this thing and I was outraged by the nonsense Kit Nasty meant to writing. And I've said he's 90-something years old, and perhaps senility has stepped in. Perhaps he gets a little senile. But to all the evidence that we are seeing, even what the police, even though they don't admit much, the police admitted all the things that they got a report. Oh man, they'll been there the Monday night, the Wednesday night, if they didn't report it to the police. It was reported to Tucson police. That is incontrovertible, all the evidence. The police admitted that they reported the matter to Tucson police station the very afternoon when the child went missing, and the police did not do anything proper about it. For Kit Nascimento now to come to suggest to the readers that we're so stupid that that is only after the body was recovered under the pool, which never was the case. We all saw the video. The body laying in a semi-vertical position when the father jumped into the pool and pulled her outside. It was never under the pool. Never under. So Kit Nascimento, you lie. You lie. And again, they come and try to twist the facts. And I tell y'all, come to speaking out. We're going to read these things, and we're going to assess, and we're going to analyze, and we're going to clarify these things. If they want to tell lie, tell lie. But you should start it there, Kit Nascimento, and them should start it by saying, Mariddle, Marie. And you old people know that when you're telling a fib or a lie, you don't start, Mariddle, Marie. My father had a tree, and then you're going to something, because you know it's lie. The lie you're coming to tell. And the thing is annoying, and they're talking about people, politicians and these things, politicizing this matter, and they want closure. How are you going to get closure when people come in and gaslighting and telling downright lies like that? How are you going to get closure to this matter? After 2 weeks, he wrote that. You want to tell me that Kit Nascimento know that the police were involved from the very afternoon the child went missing? Kit Nascimento know that police was involved so early into this thing? Right? But look, let me bring in Mr. Conway to deal with Kit Nascimento before we move on. I got something to show you all. But let me deal with this part, Cece. Go ahead.
I said on the last episode, that according to Peter Drucker, the art of listening is to listen for what isn't being said. And maybe the art of reading is to pinpoint what was not written. Now, the whole thrust of this thing here is to cast blame. Remember Kit Nascimento in his opening paragraph, he pushed out a grabber to grab the attention of people. In training, we say a grabber, where he wrote that he took his daughter there to some pool, and then after he didn't find her, he go and check the pool, and he had to plunge in the pool. He had to plunge in the pool to rescue her. He said, well, he had changed clothes, or he plunged in with all his clothes that he had on there. So he wanted to place blame on the grandmother and the other relatives to say that, to show that they didn't do enough. That's why you're going to say that till after the body was recovered, then the police involved the police. That's why and look at the whole trust, he casting blame, negligence of the grandmother and the other person there. That is the trust thing there. Yeah. And I agree with you. It's part of inciting. It's part of inciting. He want to cast blame. I repeat myself, to cast blame on the grandmother and others that they didn't do enough. When we saw the police Swiss assistant commissioner was there. He was there and he showed them, hey, look, I have video here where the girl joined a vehicle, describe the vehicle and everything, and she spotted elsewhere. So Nasi Bento giving it a swing his way to chaos neglect. From his opening paragraph and his closing paragraph, if you read through the lines, as we say, if you read through the lines, that article was intended to cast blame on the grandmother and the other relatives that they didn't do enough to get to rescue the girl.
Now, let me, and there are some new pictures that emerged. I saw them for the first time over the weekend, right? Will tell you clearly this narrative that Kitnastimento, and those who are pushing. He talking about neglect. Let me show y'all, folks. Y'all look carefully. Some of you might have seen it on social media, but as we doing the research, let me show you what they think. This is showing you here. This first slide is showing the pool. This is the bar. People at the bar. The grandmother is in this red top here. And this white arrow points to the child, Adriana Young, in the pool. You could see one of the adults here. The girl is in direct line of sight of this adult, as you can see. So you have the grandmother in very close proximity, and the child is not there alone. And I want to say this. If you look at the drowned in last week, you could see them are flaying as he losing control and so on. You want to tell me this child drowned in this pool with all them people around there and nobody else, she's just struggling in the pool and so on? Nobody, she asked for help or nothing for somebody to run. That is what you want to tell people, right? That is what they want people to believe. Look again, the grandmother is there in very close proximity. I don't know who this adult is, but you can see the adult here the girl is in clear line of sight of the adult. Clear line of sight. So to even suggest, as the vice president did, that negligence might be involved in this is just gaslighting. Who are these people who are here? All of them. The police question them yet? The police know who they are because according to the attorney, Dr. Dexter Todd, who's representing the interests of the family, the police reaching out to Todd for Todd provide names and all of that. So it was apparent that notwithstanding all that has been said about the ineffectiveness and downright corruption and inefficiency of the police, they still don't know who were the people who were there at the time. Because I am saying, from the time this girl went missing, standard policing would have required going to all of these people. And if you didn't get it immediately, the videos the pictures are circulating. The pictures, you don't forget pictures and put up for people who want for terrorism. Have you put up pictures asking these people that you want them for questioning? And let me show you another picture. This is one. Another one, look. Look, another picture here. Right? And I wanted to show a particular one. I know if it's this one. Look. Picture there. Same thing. The girl in the pool. And because she's just standing at this area. She's standing. And let me tell you all further, in case you all didn't observe it. Let me go back to the next slide. This part that she's standing is obviously the shallow part of the pool. Let me analyze, let me analyze. They said the girl can swim, but this part that she's standing is in the shallow part of the pool. It means that she can't go under there. She has to deliberately duck on the water to go. So if she comes to the deeper side, this is where the adults are. And if she goes down there, you want to tell me she's going to go down in this area and people are going to see? People are not going to see, or this girl struggling at something, or she just got down just a boop and drown. That is what you're trying to tell people. Don't believe our eyes. Again, I say, she's standing there in the shallow part of the pool. These people are sitting towards the deeper side. If you want to argue that she ventured into the deeper side and encountered difficulties, how come they and see? How come they and see this little girl struggling and then would have gone to our assistants. I tell you all, we're going to analyze these things, you know. We're going to analyze these things, right? Now, let me go to the next point, next picture. Now, this picture is the next slide. Look, the girl standing there with all the others. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. At least 4 others are there with her. I don't know what's the relationship with these people. 4 others are there with her. Look, they say. Look, this is the man standing at the back there with what appears to be a towel over his right shoulder. What are you doing standing up there with towel? Obviously, you're going into the pool. Because if you're going into the pool, you're going to get towel on your shoulder. You're not going to get towel on your shoulder. What is he doing there? Who is this person? Let me show a next picture with him. Who is this person? Look, a close-up. Standing there looking at these children in the pool. Is he the lifeguard? Is he the lifeguard? I don't know. And I'm saying all of this because the police, if they're doing a proper investigation, should be looking at all of that. And, you know, they in putting together the slide for this thing, it would appear as though there's a date stamp, right? They say Wednesday, it is a date stamp. And you might not be able to see it clearly, but if you look too carefully, you're going to see the stamp here says 1:29 p.m. Wednesday, the 23rd of April, and it says 1:29 p.m., where that is the time when this picture is taken. If the date stamp on the camera that took this picture is accurate, 1:29 p.m. on Wednesday. Have they sought to acquire this camera? Look, and they talk about police being able to do a proper investigation. Have they sought to acquire the camera that made this that took this picture to verify whether the date stamp is correct, so we can accurately say that is 1:29 or thereabout that these people are there? And I understand that the man at the back there might be the owner's son. I understand further that when he was questioned, he claimed that he was nowhere at that location around that time. So if it is that he told the police that he wasn't there at that time, and a picture with a date stamp turns up to show that he was there at 1:29. As I've said, police, you don't take things for granted. You investigate. You got to get the camera that took the picture. And you have got to make sure that the date stamp on the camera is accurate. You have to make sure it is accurate. And only then can you link the timing to this picture to say that he was there at that particular time. Have they done so? Because if he was there at 1:29, if the camera is accurate at 1:29, and he had given a statement to the police that he was nowhere there then the first question I want to ask, why are you lying? Why is he lying? Well, you know, we say, and I maintain, that the police, with regards to all that has taken place, are incapable of conducting a proper investigation into this tragedy of national proportions. They are incapable of committing it. Because some of the things that we asked today, if you're investigating, I would have hoped that they could have asked all of this. And if they had asked it, I would have thought that the confirmed squatter would have been able to tell the lawyers some of these things. Yeah, we are investigating this and we investigated, but the man had no answer. I was surprised this morning at the opening of the conference. I heard his voice and I looked, the man talking, I thought he was still suffering from laryngitis. He can't talk. He can't talk and he can't interface with the media. And they're going to allow him, the media are going to allow him to get away with that. Can't talk to them last week, to the lawyers and the family people there. But he there opening and spewing a lot of crap, right? But this picture, or these pictures that have emerged recently, are very damning. So it removes this thing about Kitnastimento and Jagdi and all them talking about neglect. So what they want, if you carry your child to the pool or your grandchild, they expect you're going to be in the pool with the child all the time. The grandmother is sitting there very near. The people there, I look at the shallow side again, I got to emphasize that. they are at the shallow side of the pool because this girl is standing. I don't know how tall she is or tall she was, but I would think if she's 4 feet, you see she only halfway or 3/4 in the water. Shallow side of the pool. This side here to where the adults are, that is the deep side. So if she ventures into the deep side and she encounters difficulty, the adults here are likely to see that and rescue her. So they come to tell people all sort of crap to suggest now that the water might have been not so clear. Guyanese critic, who went there the night of the 23rd of April, took video recording with narration to say that it was clear that nobody was in there. Nobody was in there. That's what Guyanese critics say. And I understand now you walk in the back. Oh, the place wasn't all that clear. The thing was a little murky and all that. All of them fall into this thing. But they can't fool people. They can't, because the evidence clearly suggests that the girl did not drown in that pool. I'm going to go into the scientific part because some of the people yesterday, Dr. Devinish and them, went into the scientific part. What happens when you're drowned? Water go into your lungs and other tissues and twine, you go down, other organs, you go down, and you got to rest down at the bottom in a horizontal position. That's what they say. Then when the body starts to decay, gases are formed that explain the type of gases, and then the body becomes buoyant and it floats to the top of the water. That did not, the image that we saw when the father jumped into the pool to take out his daughter doesn't relate, doesn't comply with what the medical people say, how a body floats when it, how a drunk body floats. All the evidence suggests, yes, maybe you can't dispute that she drowned, but she did not drown in the pool. Before I bring in Mr. Conway, then they come to gaslight to tell us that, the report of the postmortem examination, the preliminary report, which the commissioner did not have when the lawyers met with him, and then later in the afternoon he get, well, given that at the time when he spoke to them, we're trying to be fair. It is true that he may not have had it. He may not have had it. But then he come out after and he get it. And the postmortem, the president is the one who said that the preliminary, he did not see it, but it was reported to him that they said no forcible sign of drowning, no sexual assault. And I made the point, and I'm making it again, when you talk about sexual assault, because they said the hymen was intact. So what happened to anal sex? Daramlal, the accuser there. In other words, what happened to boggering? And y'all don't be offended by the word. It's in the laws of Guyana, right? What happened to boggering? What happened to oral sex? What happened to oral sex? What happened to, somebody brought this to my attention too, and what happened to or being used as a sexual object? In other words, you're there down there, and some sicko, because whoever did this is a sicko, decide he can watch, you just take off your clothes, he watch it, and then he masturbating or something. What happened to all of those things? Are those things being investigated? So to come and tell us that the girl drunk, and there's no sign of forcible drowning, and no sign of sexual assault, that is rubbish. That is rubbish. Because sexual assault is not only vaginal penetration, not only that. So I don't know, and that is why we say this thing requires some credible agency to investigate, not the police. And even if they are to be, somebody to come to supervise, the supervision or the supervisors must be somebody from an agency where they can relate. Because this thing, for example, I suspect that if you're going to question people and so on, the man who stands behind it, he might have to do polygraph. This man would bring in, he get the capability to make sure that these people are polygraph, lie detector test. In other words, Mandel, Ikin, all of them, lie detector. Because, and don't tell me, because I heard the point yesterday, and I respect Dr. Williams with that, said that the FBI might not have jurisdiction to come to Guyana and to deal with that. I agree. I accept, well, not agree, but I accept that that might be so. However, we have had cases in the past where agencies associated with the U.S. have administered polygraph tests on police officers in Guyana during early stages of the coalition. Police officers. And I want to tell you, that many of them who were polygraphed, in other words, like they failed the test. Some of them hold in senior positions now. And among the questions that they couldn't answer truthfully was whether they benefited from the drug trade. They couldn't answer that truthfully. But they are the ones who head in departments and are in very senior positions now. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. CC, your take on these pictures and all of that, my friend. Go ahead.
Well, the pictures tell 1,000 words, or more than that. I said before that you win or lose a case by your actions or lack of actions at the scene of crime. Clearly, they didn't lock down the place. Clearly, they didn't detain persons. And now, after 2 weeks, they're hosting for text statements from people. When the thing was fresh in the people's memory, you don't want to take anything. We know now when it gets stale. Now you're hosting and you're asking Todd if he get weaknesses and let the weaknesses think that when the thing was fresh, just like critic, when he fresh he talk, and then when it gets stale, he also was string around. The whole thing is that the investigation is so flawed, and all because they're hosting to cover up. What's the actions or the lack of actions by the police commando? Telling the people, hey, the girl in there, I get with your thing, and the girl must go along your way. And then if you're gonna bring somebody, bring the agency as a saying more, not no individual. I wonder how long he retire. And then the president and even Jack Dio, Paul, do you remember a man named Bernard Kerrick? He was the 40th president of the 40th commissioner of the NYPD. And Jack Dio, the contractee, for $8 million to come and do reform in the police. For $8 million. I know we pay back any money. And shortly after, charged in the United States of America, corruption and other dealings, the judge sentenced him to 4 years in prison. And the judge also say, hey, you ain't serving this sentence in New York. Because you got friends, you got influence here, you're going to Texas. Serve these 3 years, and President, the current one now, give him a presidential pardon. You only serve 3 years. But the thing is that if you're gonna bring credible people, I don't know what this man who up to now I'm told he was a sergeant in the Canadian Mounted Police. And if he was so good, he was so successful, how he didn't climb up the ladder, how he didn't turn a senior superintendent, how he didn't turn an assistant commissioner, how he didn't turn a deputy commissioner, how he did till down at the bottom of the ladder. Or perhaps they like to deal with people at the bottom of the ladder. And I wonder how much money they pay him. And what is his terms of reference? They say assist. Can't be one word assist alone. What is the terms of reference? How much it costs in the taxpayer? How much money they give him? I wonder if he draw anything by now. Bernard Kerrick was 8 million US. This one might be far higher than 8 million US. Let us know what's going on. Bring credible agency and not a man who understand and they should bring the fact to retire as a sergeant. He wasn't top ranking in the command structure. He wasn't top ranking, but he's there. And maybe he can draw more than 8 million US. There's Bernard Kerrick fee, 8 million US. And if you doubt me, check the book that David Ramnarine, when he was Holiness Commissioner, he loaned me a book, Power and Corruption in the NYPD. The NYPD is, they got a lot of corruption, but the Ghana Police Force make the NYPD in terms of corruption look like Vice Scouts. Ghana Police Force make them look like Vice Scouts in terms of corruption and incompetence.
Yeah, the Bernard Carrick story is interesting because at the time when he came is when we were looking to do the reform, the IDB funded reform project. I was identified to be the leader of that project. And I was having discussions with everybody, including the then acting Minister of Home Affairs, Gloria Teixeira. And at no stage was I advised or informed that they were looking for somebody to come. We were doing our side of work here. So when the thing burst out in the media that Bernard Cleric come in, I was as shocked or even more shocked than anyone else. Anyone else, I was shocked. And then somebody, people in Canada told me there is a case that the same sergeant was involved in. The man said, first of all, I went to do the research over there. They sent me 2 cases. Well, unfortunately, I haven't had the time to go because they're fairly lengthy, right? R versus Vader, 2016. And they say, and something R versus Briscoe. There's a case that says he doesn't have not much homicide experience to brag about. That's the same man where they big up, not much experience to brag about. And they told me that judge made the comment to say the judge said that he was a desk police without field experience. I don't know the folks, but they want us to believe that he has such a stellar career in homicide investigation. But the information coming out of Canada, the judge said that he was a desk police without field experience. And somebody said not much homicide experience to brag about. So let them make up something because we had said first, how did they get to this man? How did they get to Carrick in the first instance? Maybe it's the same process they use. So one of the supporters in Canada who may have known this guy say, look, call them and tell them Teki. That is what. And then they build up a resume. They build up a resume, falsified a resume to let this man look like he be some big investigator. That might very well be what has happened. That might, I'm not saying that. Remember, I don't know him. But how transparent was that process to identify this man? How was he identified? Somebody drew to my attention just now that, let me put up back this slide. Somebody said that if you look here carefully, I know it might very well, this person here might be recording these children in the pool. I don't know. Again, I say, they said, it was said that the grainy video in the paper shots killing, nonetheless, they didn't say they send the video, but they said they're getting assistance from the FBI. They were getting assistance, or they are getting assistance from the FBI in relation to the paper shot killing. So how come they can't get assistance from the FBI in relation to this matter, which has gained not only national attention, international attention? The same FBI, what Nandalal talk about, Jack Dio talk about, Irfan Ali talk about, get the same FBI. I'm sure they can get this picture. You provide them with these pictures and all these videos and so on, as grainy as they might be, they might very well have the technology to make sure that these things become very, very, very clear, very, very transparent. Again, I say, all they're doing is gaslighting. And let me move on. Because there was a matter that we wanted to talk about on Friday, but time caught up with us. And they were talking about, Mark Phillips, Prime Minister, had an interview on, I saw it on YouTube. I think it would have been Thursday or sometime then. Mark can lie. I know he could lie. He lie, Mark Phillips gone, Mark Phillips tell them. And I made some notes of some of the things that he said, and I'm going to go through them with you now. So sit back, share the live. We get good numbers, but share. People going to want to hear this. Right? Statement. He said, when they asked you about the press conference that the police have not had, he said, the police are the ones who should determine if they should have a press conference. There's a Mark Phillips here, that the police are the ones who should, in other words, Akin must determine whether he wants to face the press. Obviously, the kid ain't gonna face the press, right? He's traumatized over the last time he faced with the Boscom matter, where he and Blanham went there to debunk the statement made by Boscom about what transpired in the paper shards and the arrest and all them things. And they felt it was a monumental embarrassment and disaster. So since then, they get camera, they get Mike Chai, and they're coming back to face the camera. So Mark Phillips said that they're the ones who should determine that. And then he went on to say that he's sure that the police are listening to this program and they might be moved to Ole press conference. Well, they haven't moved yet. Anything that moved must be the bowels. They must be shaking buckets according to the vice president. Right? They must be shaking buckets. So they haven't moved yet. Only the bowels might have moved. Then he goes on to say, the government wants closure for the family and the Guyanese people. And I say in here, that Mark Phillips said, the government wants closure for the family and the Guyanese people. He's referring to Adriana Young's death. And I say that closure means different things for the family and for the government. For the government, closure means let them bury this girl, and then in a few days, a few weeks' time, you're going to be back to normal, business as usual. That is what closure means to them. That is my view. My view is that the government, when they talk about closure, they don't mean what the family means when they talk about closure. When the family talks about closure, they mean that the people responsible for the death of their daughter must be brought to justice. And I just charge somebody, make sure you do a proper investigation so that you can gain a conviction. That is what closure means to the family. For PPP, closure, just bury the girl and get on with it. Just bury she, and you know the Guyanese people. And I didn't want to, I said me denigrating or taking me ice past people and so on. Just short memory, attention span. Once a girl buried, within a short space of time thereafter, it gone. It gone. Right? Now, what he said next? He said, we are in, what Mark Phillips said, we, meaning the government, are interested in transparency, a word that they do not know the meaning of. Mark Phillips, the Prime Minister, said that we are interested in transparency. Ask him to define transparency. Ask him to give examples of the government being transparent. Can't do that. I'm sure he can't do that. Or whatever answer he give cannot stand scrutiny. Right? Cannot stand scrutiny. Then here what he says too. He said, we are not interested in politicizing the matter. These are things that as he spoke, I made notes. He said, we are not interested in politicizing the matter. And I said on the program on Friday, the people who first politicize this matter are the people from the government. The first government official, Thursday morning, even before the body was found, the minister, social protection, or whoever she is, Vidya Prasad, she was there. She was over telling them she can talk to ropes and men. Ropes and men send dog, shaka dog, so thing. So that is not politicizing it. There's not getting involved in matters that you ought not to get involved in, giving instruction with chakadogs, operational issues. Yeah? It's too politicized. The night of the postmortem, 28th of April, is that the president sat there in a so-called press conference and tell people about what the preliminary postmortem examination showed and lie to say that it showed that there was no forcible drowning. When the report that was subsequently released, they never said anything like that. Is who politicizing it? Who politicized the matter? Not the PPP government, Mark Phillips. Then he goes on to say, we are open to every action that will be helpful in the name of transparency. Here he goes again using that word that he does not know the meaning of. We are open to every action that will be helpful in the name of transparency. Well, ask for assistance from the FBI, ask for assistance from the Scotland Yard, ask for assistance from the Royal Mounted Police of Canada, not no individual who y'all unpicked to come and assist the police. As you're open, as you said, we are open to every action that will be helpful in the name of transparency. Don't only say it, demonstrate that you're open to transparency. He goes on to say the government remains open to facilitating all foreigners, all avenues to bring closure. Again, all foreigners, all avenues to bring closure. Bring the people in there and write to the U.S. government through the embassy or whatever protocol has to be applied and ask them to come to help. Ask. Somebody say when the GDF guns went missing some years ago, they had asked FBI and FBI came to assist. I'm not sure about that, but somebody says so. Right? Now, let me go on to say, he said he's aware that there are forces in Guyana that has made it political. Well, I had addressed that already. Mark Phillips says he's aware that there are forces in Guyana that has made this matter political. I ask again, what was the Minister of Social Protection or whatever the designation is doing on the site Thursday the 24th? That's the day after, even before the body was found, and saying she's talking to the Minister of Affairs and dealing with operational issues. So who politicized the matter? What are the forces, or which are the forces that politicize this matter? Then he goes on to say, the most galling thing to me that this lying Mark Phillips said, and the video is there, I'm sure. The man said, the man publicly commend the police force for the action taken to restore order. He publicly commended the police force for the action taken to restore order. Mark Phillips, a former chief of staff of the GDF. But you know nothing much about the lack of action to search this place and to perhaps find this girl alive. But these people are ordinary, you know. You want to know where they come from. You want to know if they have children. You want to know if they have parents, if they were ever born, how they're behaving. He commended the police. Police got there and used a lot of brutality and a lot of things that I can tell you totally against all the protocols to deal with civil disturbance. Shoot up people willy-nilly, indiscriminate firing and all of that. And he commend them, Mark Phillips commend them on doing that. Mark Phillips, the Prime Minister. Yes, he's singing for his supper, right? Then he said, democracy must prevail. I don't know what he means by that. Democracy must prevail. Or maybe he means democracy must prevail, right? So that is what he says. And then he goes on to say, political activists, he talk about the cameras and so on and all, and they saw political activists leading protests and urging them on. I say to you, Mark Phillips, if you all saw political activists leading protests and urging people on, how come they have not been named? How come you haven't put them before the court as you seem inclined to do these days? How come? How come? So even if that was a dog whistle, by now one would have expected, because if you said that you saw, that is what he said, political activists leading protests and urging them on. Mike Phillips says so. Mark Phillips said that. Then he says too that agencies have a right to maintain order in Guyana. Hear what he says, Mark Phillips, Prime Minister, who I have found to be a liar. Not a lawyer, a liar, telling fibs, right? I have found that. Mark Phillips says the agencies have a right to maintain order in Guyana. I want to ask you, Mark Phillips, Prime Minister, former Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force, is Sheriff Militia, Sheriff Army, Sheriff Security, whoever you want to call it, are they part of these agencies that you talk about that have a right to maintain law and order? Because we saw Sheriff Security on the road the night there of the 28th of April, shooting. And let me tell you all this. See, you're coming just now. Let me tell you all this. People employed by this, some of them employed by the security companies, are given supernumerary status. They are supernumerary constables. So they're not police. Guyana Police Force is comprised of the regular police, the special constabulary, and rural constables, and the special constabulary for the time they are called out for full-time duty. And you have the rural constabulary, same thing. Right? They are auxiliaries of the force, not supernumerary constables. When you are a supernumerary constable, that gives you the authority, if you're properly trained to carry and use a firearm. And on the property that you have to protect. On the property. I always used to use Bank when I did this training, or when I train people, I used to use Bank of Ghana as the example. They have a security, one of the more reputable security, the internal, the proprietary security arrangement, right? They have power within the premises of the bank. Once in the bank premises. And if the bank doing escort or cash, well, yes, the power is extended. But they can't go across to the library and enforce the law, even though the library is nearby. Same to the other security, the supernumerary constables. This super guard and thing where they still around the place. When they are posted to a particular location, the power exists for that location, where they can make arrests, they can defend the property that they are posted to guard. And sometimes people ask the question, if something happens nearby, they are not authorized to leave and go nowhere nearby to deal with it. That is not the authority they have. And it is not, well, I don't want to go into all the technical issues because, you know, they say this thing about citizens' powers of arrest. You have got to understand the citizens' power of arrest too. Where a citizen, if he sees a felony being committed, a felony can take certain action. So I want to know when Mark Phillips talk about agencies, whether he includes sheriff. And then, you know, a nurse, Kai was saying that the police give misinformation. That is in relation to this blue and black car that they saw. He said misinformation. Man, a nurse tell you not misinformation. It's downright deceitfulness. Oh, she pleased me heart. She said it's not disinformation. The police were being downright deceitful. That is what she told Mark Phillips. And he sit down there squirming. Then they go on to say, he said, Mark Phillips said, that we are committed to investigating the police. Mark Phillips said so. I kid you not. It is there for you to see. He said, down to the end, we are committed to investigating the police. And then he said, we will have a commission of inquiry. Well, I know Jack Dio says so. You know Jack Dio running the show. I hear Irfan Ali says so. Jack Dio running Irfan Ali show. But Mark Phillips said that we will have a commission of inquiry. First time I heard it. Shall we see? Then they go on to say, he said the postmortem report is with the police. At the time where he was saying that the postmortem report was with the police, Commissioner Aiken said the police didn't get the postmortem report. When Mark Phillips was saying this on Thursday, I think it was, police were saying to the attorneys that we didn't get the report. Right? Then he said, then the talk, he said, you know, the taking action and 2 ranks have been dismissed. And, who are the ranks that were dismissed? You know, as far as I'm aware, they haven't named any name yet, you know. For said John Jones and Mary Smith, constable, this or get dismissed, and for what they tell you 2 people get dismissed. But they don't tell you who are the people that got dismissed. They told us early 3 persons were under close arrest. They don't tell you who these people are. And that is how you just know that they're lying. That is how you just know that they're lying. So if 2 people dismissed, why have you not said, well, John Jones and Mary Smith dismissed for X, Y, Z reason? Because the question is asked also that even if you're going to dismiss it, were they entitled to due process? Meaning, if you're accusing them of some wrongdoing, you got the Police Discipline Act. Were they charged? Were they offered the presumption of innocence as guaranteed by the Constitution of the Republic of Guyana? All of them everything. All of them think everything. But Mark Phillips went there and he told a lot of fibs and things. As I said, the 3 ranks up to now you're here. And before I bring in Mr. Conway, I know about the long CC, and you're there at the end, anxious to come and get a little batin. But they told us, I think it was last week, that the proprietor of Doubleday Hotel was released on bail because he had been there for the 72 hours. They told us he was released on bail. They told us that he had to report to a police station. They didn't say which police station. So I guess any police station he had to report to every day. That is what the police release said. Every day. And since then, we ain't hear nothing more. So I want to know if this man has been satisfying with the requirements of his bail. When he come in, they didn't say, I want if he put on cash bail or what. They say he sent on bail, but he report to the police every day. And we ain't nothing further. And I see everything, when you see things on social media, you don't believe everything. But I see on social media, they say that he attempted to transfer some money from his account to his wife's account, and the bank refused, and he attempted to withdraw something going on. Something is wrong, but they're not giving any update on that. So therefore, once they don't give update, speculation can run wild. Let me bring in CC. I promise to do that sometime now. CC, have your say, my brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, I listen to, like you, I listen to Mark Phillips, and I conquered you call it the lion Mark Phillips, who lied an affidavit. Perhaps the key thing was signed and he just signed blindly, And what Mark Phillips said, or what he did there, that is political interference in the operations of the police force. That is political interference. How he come there? How he come for talk? And what he condition there? Political interference in the Guyana police force. And it's perhaps he following the leader. Because it started with the president. Imagine the president of this country gone in a whole conference and talking about the autopsy report, the post-mortem report. How we get involved in that? And then misleading? And then using misleading statements? Is a police operation, or maybe it's a political operation, where the commissioner and more so the crime chief, those are the persons who are supposed to come forward and whole conference, news conference with members of the press. Let them update them, be transparent is what is happening or what has happened. But the commissioner ain't saying nothing. And then they talking about people, sheriff. We saw a video during the looting and then thing in the Chinese place there, where they had some men like animals in a Chinese place there, and I just told a man from sheriff security with a cutlass, lashing them. You see the condition under which they had them there.
What are you moving for?
Look, I get a dog named Bill, and even Bill bite me, I won't treat him the way that they treated those persons. Yes, they committed criminal offense, but you gotta know how you treat prisoners. You can't get inhumane treatment. And Paul, you already said that they are supernumerary. And only that, if you gotta do something, you gotta be properly trained. You gotta be properly trained to do things. Maybe that's why they want to get a cutlass and lashing them with the cutlass, put on their head. So Mark Phillips, I don't have confidence in Mark Phillips. They just send it there for talk and talking what he ain't know about. Talking about things that he ain't know about. And I just get a little wink that Branham has found his voice and he made a statement this morning. And I don't know how true it is, but part of it said the investigation is very objective. I've instructed them to ensure that they do not disregard any information or any evidence during the probe. They are continue to interrogate persons found at the poolside on the day the girl went missing. 2 weeks ago, they still continue to interrogate people. And if Branham come and talk, if he find his voice, he must give us an event, give us a report from day one, what exactly happened step by step, so that we can know what happened and the police action. But I don't know, but that's why I got something that he has found his voice and he made a statement, but the statement really ain't saying nothing. The statement ain't got no substance. He must come and talk something substantive, that we must know what the nature of the investigation, how far they gone, and what they're looking for, and this kind of thing. And also, who is in charge of the investigation? But I'm happy if somebody baited him and he come out, but he didn't come out with nothing substantial. He just nibbling around the edges of the police action.
But tell me, crime chief, if people are doing an investigation, you got to instruct them to be comprehensive and all that. You, prime minister, got to do you crime chief got to do that. That shouldn't be standard operational procedure. You got to tell them that. All they're doing is exposing the incompetence, All they do when they come, that's why I love when they come and they speak. Because more they talk, is more they are showing us how incompetent they are. I ain't gonna use the other the other C yet, the corruption part. I'm not gonna use that yet. I want to give them whatever benefit there is for them to have. But there's a problem with them. So I guess now that the prime minister said they're gonna come out, he feel compelled to come and make a statement, right? So why wasn't he at the press conference with the when the commissioner interacted with the members of the media? He been at the activity somewhere else, and no representative from the CID, none. So what are you telling people now? What are you telling people now? He said, well, the investigations are in possession of footage from the hotel poolside on the day. Investigators are in possession of footage from the hotel's poolside on the day of Adriana Young's disappearance. That's what the crime chief said. That is iNews, government propaganda saying so, that they are in possession of the footage. But the thing they all over, you get a footage galore, enough. Some you know what exactly mean. And then the thing here, what time, right, we get a little time, some everything there. I don't want to read the whole thing because I just want to go through them thing first and analyze it. So maybe we come next. He said, when I asked the question, he said, party, he said, meanwhile, the crime chief has also confirmed that the owner of the now gutted Doubleday Hotel is complying with its conditions, which is to report to the police station daily. The hotel owner is also barred from leaving the jurisdiction. That is what they are reporting now. Then he said, the investigators are very objective, the crime chief assured. I have instructed them to ensure that they do not disregard any information or any evidence during the probe. Are you suggesting that they normally disregard information or evidence? Mr. Crime Chief, that's what you're suggesting? You have to instruct them not to disregard. I have instructed them to ensure that they do not disregard any information or any evidence during the process. You see, when they talk, that's why they shy away, That's why when they talk, they open their mouth and they talk a lot of nonsense. Because you don't have, if you have a proper investigation going on by competent people, you don't have to tell them to disregard, not to disregard evidence. You don't have to tell them that. That is routine thing, where all evidence, wherever it leads. But you have to tell them, I have instructed them to ensure that they do not disregard any information or any evidence during this probe. That says it all. That says it all. Cece, let me bring you in for your closing, and then we can tell them about when we can come next, man. Let me bring you in for your closing. We have had a hectic morning. Let me hear you, my brother.
Yeah, well, my financial statement, and I got to harp on the irregularities, financial irregularities, particularly Region 1. The information I got now, that 5 persons have asked to be transferred from Region 1 because they're saying that people put a name down showing that they get a whole set of money, $900,000, $800,000, $500,000, and they didn't sign for any bogus signature. And Region 1 Commando, the police finance officer, are aware what's going on there, but they're putting things under the table. The other department started investigation and they run into, and they get a standstill. Look at the financial irregularities. 5 policemen want to be transferred from there because they're not comfortable and they said their name in calling in that they receive money, 900,000, 500,000, and other some there, and what appeared to be their signature next to the documents. And I understand there's still the 157 pounds of cocaine that they didn't declare. They're still waiting for a buyer. They're tackling people from charity, but they haven't get to yet the person raise the kind of money that they're asking for. So more and more is to come. And also, in closing, appealing that they refund the Amerindian police that who are to purchase their own footwear, $9,000 from a police couple who is fronting from a very senior officer, and the police have to buy their own footwear to perform police duty, perhaps like Brutus, then they buy any footwear. So the police, the ranks at the buy, and they complete the training, transfer them back to Region 9, and they're still to get their refund.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. And no students, I'm not going to deny you your little therapy in the long, so I'm going to run it
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims
relationship, yes. He's a friend of ours. Right? That is what you have, folks. That is what you have. Folks, it has been a good morning. I am pleased with the attendance. And we're going to continue to bring stuff to you. We have some stuff left back we're going to bring. I want to, again, encourage you, those of you who can afford to support this program. The numbers are there, the Zelle, the Cash App, the MMG number. Make whatever contribution you feel that you can afford to make. That goes a long way towards ensuring that we can come here, we can do the research, we can buy whatever, pay for the platform fee, and all of those things to bring you credible, valuable information. Only recently I bought more storage because I don't like the idea of deleting these things off of StreamYard, which is the platform that owns this thing. So I just doubled the amount of storage that I have. So it's money, it requires money, and if you can afford, please assist. Again, I when I leave, I like to tell you to be safe. I like to urge you to be safe, because that place there is all kind of trials and tribulations. All kind of trials and tribulations we have. So be safe, folks. Be safe. And today is Monday. We are due to come again on Wednesday, God Spare Life. Right? Everything you have to give praise and thanks. You say man does appoint, but God does disappoint. We can sit here and decide that we're going to be here on Wednesday, but if God does not want that to happen, it will not. Right? You know what? Coming back to all the deaths that we told you about, people dying and so on, prominent people, latest being Amna Ali. You know, sometimes you want to know why some of them, they're breathing the same air that you're breathing, that we are breathing. Given all they are doing, some of them will go and nobody will miss them, apart from perhaps the immediate family, even them. Because if you kick your mother down the stairs, I believe when you go, that she and I will be happy that you have gone. So, folks, until we meet again, as I've said, the normal scheduled time is on Wednesday. But who knows, we can hear tomorrow that the extended squad to decide for Chuck. And that would not be, we can't wait. If breaking news like that come out, we can't wait. We got to come right away and tell it to you. So stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel so you're going to get the notifications when we go live. If you are a Facebooker, just follow the page on Facebook. So, folks, until we meet again, I want you to stay well. Until we meet, bye. Take care.